Democrats in the House form an anti-gun caucus. Welcome to another installment of the Connecticut Gun Bench. Today's video is brought to you by P.A.N. Firearms, LLC. P.A.N. Firearms, your NRA certification and multifaceted gun training. You can reach us at 203-300-6343 or use our website at www.panfirearmsllc.com. As always, there'll be a link in the description box below. And if you like my channel and want to support my channel, please use the links below. Everything is appreciated. But let's talk about this. In the Democrats and their continuing tirade against legal gun owners, because they never make laws that actually affect crime. 8 Democrat senators have formed a caucus at taxpayers' expense for gun violence prevention. Now, I can already tell you what's going to happen. They're all going to get together and stroke each other's egos and then come out and say, yeah, we need more bans. We need to ban this because that will prevent gun violence. We need to ban that because that will prevent gun violence. And that's all it's going to come down to. They're just looking for another really clever way to get around things. Now, I'm going to come over here. This is from The Hill, titled Democratic Senators Form Caucus for Gun Violence Prevention. A group of 8 Democratic senators formed the Gun Violence Prevention Caucus on Thursday with the goal of promoting common sense solution, there's those key words again, to America's abnormally high levels of gun violence. It's not the fact that we're just an immoral country and we're paying the price for that. No. It's gun violence. Not being run over by an SUV, not being stabbed to death. None of that matters. No, it's gun violence. That's the problem. Quote, "We wake up every day to headline of another mass shooting in this country because the media won't report any other kind of murder." Senator Dianne Feinstein, a member of the newly formed caucus, said in a statement, "We can't allow this to continue," and she is another poster child for term limits. The creation of the caucus comes in the wake of several recent mass shootings in California. 11 people were fatally shot and 9 more injured at a dance studio in Monterey Park on January 21st. And here's the thing that, I'm not going to hold the Hill accountable for this, but just realize that the firearm that was used in the Monterey Park shooting was illegal in the state of California, and the magazine. Illegal. Once again, gun bans don't work. Just 2 days later, 7 people were killed and 1 was injured in related shootings at 2 farms in Half Moon Bay. In total, there have been 54 mass shootings so far this year, according to the Gun Violence Archive. And we know how they figured out that 54 mass shootings. I believe it was every town for gun safety changed the standards for what is considered a mass shooting. Under the FBI, and you can correct me, but I believe it's 4 people killed by a shooting they consider a mass shooting. Every town turned it into 4 people injured. So every event, whether it be gang related, drug deal gone wrong, beef between 2 people, if 4 people are injured, it's a mass shooting. They throw it into the tally to make that number look bigger than it actually is. They try to take that 54 mass shooting number and associate it with events like Monterey Bay or Sandy Hook. And it's disingenuous. And it's disingenuous math. But, quote, "The gun violence epidemic is a uniquely American problem," Senator John Hickenlooper, Colorado, another new member of the Gun Violence Prevention Caucus, said in a statement, "but it is within our reach to end it." Now, gun violence is unique to America because Americans have liberty and freedom to own a firearm. England has a complete gun ban, but he's being disingenuous with his wording here. England has a massive knife stabbing and murder problem. It's not the implement, it is the person behind it, but you cannot reason with these people. It's not even worth trying. But Feinstein noted that the fellow members of the caucus, which also includes, and here comes the circus, Dick Durbin, Richard Blumenthal, Cory Booker, Bob Menendez, Chris Murphy, and Ed Markley. Yeah. As a Connecticut resident, I am so ashamed of our voters for sending those 2 fools. I've said this several times. Back we had, what's his name? Oh my gosh. Lieberman was our senator. And I, as a conservative, as a Republican, I voted for Lieberman every cycle, including when he ran as an independent, when the Democrats tried to sink him. Why? I didn't agree with everything he did, but I agreed with enough where I felt comfortable with him. These two, I have nothing for. They have done nothing with their time in office other than rail against legal gun owners. What a waste of, just a waste of a seat. Both of them. But the caucus members said in a press release that they plan to examine gun violence prevention laws at the state level for potential inspiration, look at best practices for advocacy and ways to engage local communities in an effort and search for opportunities to work with the executive branch. What that basically means, they're going to find the states with the most restricted gun laws and say, that's what we got to do. That's working. That's what it's about. That's what they're saying. They also noted plans to work on developing gun safety legislation. Once again, buzzword, gun safety, that will preserve constitutional rights and will avoid frivolous lawsuits. Well, they're ignoring the actual wording of the Second Amendment shall not be infringed. So anything you do is basically an infringement on that constitutional right. You're not preserving anything. So, there are people out here who believe this. That's fine. Some of us just know better. But recent efforts to implement various gun safety laws have faced pushback in the courts, particularly following the Supreme Court's ruling in New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruen last June. The ruling overturned the New York, should know this already, New York State concealed carry law, finding that gun restrictions must be consistent with the nation's historical traditions. An appeals court panel on Thursday struck down a federal law that banned individuals with domestic violence restraining orders from owning guns, citing the Supreme Court's ruling. Now, we can talk about that a little bit. If the person is a violent person, I do not think they should have access to a firearm. You can scream and yell Second Amendment, but we've got to use some level of common sense. But that common sense does not extend to, we're going to start arbitrarily banning items across the board in this delusion that we're going to prevent violence. That's not going to fly. That I'll never agree to. So, in their continuing tirade against gun ownership in this country, just keep in mind that these people all have armed protection at your expense. You're paying for it. But they obviously think you do not have a right to defend yourself, because that's exactly what they're saying here. When they tell you can only have 10 rounds in a magazine, or you can't have a specific weapon because of the way it looks, because that's really what they're talking about. It's not the function, it's the look of the item. Then they're basically just flaming hypocrites of the worst kind. It's elitism. All this gun control that these people push at the federal level is elitism, period. Rules for thee, period. And that's what it's about. So we're going to see what kind of stupidity that they're going to waste millions of dollars on to put this caucus together. And we know it's going to come up with absolutely nothing but more gun ban, more gun control. That's what they're pushing for. They're just trying to figure out a real slick way to get around the Supreme Court, because they're obviously worried about the Bruen decision, every gun case coming up, because Bruen has been mentioned multiple times in lower courts on specific gun-related legal matters. So this is just another move on their part. But let me know what you think. As always, you can leave your comments in the comment section below. And as always, any statements of violence and statements that lead to violence will be removed. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you're notified the next time a video goes live. I will see you on the next one. Peace.